Devas. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you so much for joining today. We're going to seek the blessing of Radha Madhav, Radha Shyamsundar, Krishna Balaram, Bal Gopal, Jagannath Baladev Subramani, Nrsimhadev Bhagwan, Shishi Gauranitai, Shishi Mati Tulsi Devi, Haridas Thakur, Guru Parampara, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembled devotees. So, continuing with the Kumbha Mela, why are we celebrating this Kumbha Mela festival in Prayag this year? So, we're looking at it from the eyes of scripture. Eighth canto describes the pastime of the Srimad Bhagavad Puran, and we looked at fifth chapter yesterday. Today we're going to look at the sixth chapter. So the name of this chapter, demigods and the demons, they declare a truce. This chapter describes how the Lord appears before the demigods when they offer him their prayers. Following the advice of the Lord, the demigods executed a truce with the demons for the purpose of churning nectar from the sea. Very unusual that truce is taking place between the demigods and the demons. Anyway, let's see why. Because of the prayers offered by the demigods in the previous chapter, the Lord Kshirodakshay Vishnu was pleased with the demigods. And thus he appeared before them. The demigods were almost blinded by his transcendental bodily effulgence, resembling 1,000 rising suns. So we can't even look at one sun directly. Can you imagine 1,000 suns at the same time? This is what is the effulgence of the Supreme. Sorry, okay. At first, therefore, they could not even see any part of his body. After some time, however, when Brahma and Shiva could see the Lord's beautiful, smiling, lotus-like face, his cheeks adorned with earrings, his flower garlands, and ankle bells on his legs, they then immediately fell to the ground, offering their obeisances, began to offer the Lord prayers, more prayers. So, this is... I'm not quite sure what this is. I mean, this is Lord Vishnu, of course. I suppose this is him effectively looking like 1,000 suns. So they got so many different forms behind him. And the devotees are offering their obeisances. And this is an idea of the beauty of the Lord. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, they saw the crystal clear personal beauty of the Lord. His blackish body resembled a Marakata gem. His eyes were reddish like a lotus, like the depths of a lotus. His yellow silken garments are like molten gold. His entire body is attractively decorated. His smiling face and eyebrows are beautiful. His crown is bedecked with valuable jewels. He is decorated with all kinds of ornaments. His beautiful earrings illuminate the cheeks of his beautiful lotus face. He wears a belt on his waist, bangles on his arms. He is adorned with necklaces and anklets. He wears the Kastuba gem and carries Lakshmi. He moves with the beautiful flower garlands. He bears his weapons like the Sudarshan disc and club. He is worshipped in his original form. So then the demigods offer obeisance upon seeing the Lord's beautiful form. Prayers by Lord Brahma. He said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, being beyond birth and death, is eternal. He has no material qualities. Yet he is the ocean of unlimited auspicious qualities. He is subtler than the most subtle. He is invisible. And his form is inconceivable. He is worshipable for all the demigods. So continuing with those prayers, innumerable universes exist within his form. So when he breathes out as Karadaksha Vishnu, all these universes come out of his form. And when he breathes in, they go back into his form. Therefore, he is never separated from these universes by time, space, or circumstances. He is the chief and the pradhan. He is the beginning, the middle, the end of the material creation. The Supreme Lord controls the entire material manifestation through his subordinate agent, the external energy, Maya. But he's always the master of the material energy. He's never controlled by Maya. He's the master of Maya. The Supreme Lord in his various forms is always present, even within this material world. But the material qualities cannot touch him. Even though he is within this material world, as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, he is never contaminated by the material qualities. You know the purpose for which we have come. Please give us the means of deliverance. So this is the prayer by Lord Brahma. You know why we've come. Please help us. So when offered prayers by Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, the Supreme Lord was pleased. Thus he gave appropriate instructions to all the demigods. The Supreme Lord, who is known as Ajita, unconquerable, advised the demigods to make a peace proposal to the demons, so that after formulating a truce, the demigods and the demons could churn the ocean of milk. Very unusual request. So the Lord is saying, become humble, tolerate, and make a truce. Go with a begging bowl to the demons and beg for a truce. A highly unusual request by the Supreme Lord to the demigods. But there was a reason for it. Because the Lord had a purpose. He wanted them, demigods and demons, to churn the ocean of milk. So when the Lord wants something, he doesn't just want it for himself. He wants it for the general benefit of everyone, especially the sadhus, the devotees, the demigods, but everybody in general as well. Now, at the same time, he also had a leela to perform, many leelas. Actually, he comes in these pastimes in many different forms. Many different forms. So let's have a look at what happens. So the Lord is advising. The rope, in order to churn, you need a rope, right? You need something to churn the ocean, the milk, ocean of milk with. The rope would be the biggest serpent, known as Vasuki, and the churning rod, so you need a rod as well, would be the Mandara mountain. So then he continues to advise. Poison would also be produced from the churning. This poison is lethal. It can destroy the whole universe, practically speaking. But it would be taken by Lord Shiva. So there would be no need to fear it. So the Lord is making a prediction. This is what's going to happen. Don't worry. You will see so many things come. But don't be scared. Many other attractive things would be generated by the churning. But the Lord warned the demigods not to be captivated by such things. Nor should the demigods be angry if there was some disturbance. After advising the demigods in this way, the Lord disappeared from the scene. So these are very practical instructions by the Lord, and they can be very valuable in our day-to-day life as well. Because he's encouraging tolerance, he's encouraging patience, he's encouraging not to get disturbed by enjoyable things, captivated by attractive things. Really valuable instructions. And The poison, yeah, we may come across some of our bad karma catching up with us. What to do? We have to learn to tolerate and be under the protection of the Lord, understanding that it's my own karma, it's my own doing, and let it be. Let me take ownership of my problem, and let me take shelter of the Supreme Lord, and He will extend His protection if He wants to. He's not forced. So, next few verses discuss this truth. Following the instructions of the Supreme Lord, Brahma and Shiva returned to their abodes. And the demigods approached Maharaj Bali, the king of the demons. So this must have been quite a difficult task for the demigods, because they had to approach the person who had defeated them and beg for a truce, because Maharaj Bali already had our upper hand. He didn't need to make any peace. But we'll see later how he's a natural devotee, actually, although he's born in a demon family. Bali knew well when to make peace and when to fight. Although his agitated commanders were ready to kill the demigods, Bali forbade them. Seeing the demigods coming without military aid. So this is etiquette. And Bali knew, because, as I mentioned before, he's a natural born devotee. Although he was fighting the demigods, who are also devotees, because that was his dharma, if you like. He was born in a demon family. What to do? Anyway, even when enemies come to their opponent's place, they should be received in such a way that they forget any animosity between the two parties. This is really hard. If somebody you don't like comes to your place, are you willing to forget the animosity between you and invite them into your home and treat them in such a way that you don't even realize that there's any problem? Very good thing to learn, if it's possible. The demigod sat near Bali and pleased with him with mild words. Hmm. Then Indra politely submitted all the proposals he had heard from Lord Vishnu, and all the demons accepted the proposals. So even if you don't get on with somebody, sometimes there may be some mutual benefit in doing something with somebody you don't get on with. For the mutual benefit, you do it. For greed, perhaps, you do it. People go to work, they don't necessarily like their employers, but they go because there's something in it for them. So here also, there's something in it for both the demigods and the demons. Therefore, they agree to the truce to work together. Politics, diplomacy, and cheating propensity in individual and social negotiations are also present in the higher planets. So this was what was going on in the heavens. The demons thought that they could take the nectar produced from the churning after defeating the demigods, who were already weak. The demigods, of course, had similar intentions. The only difference is that the Supreme Lord was on the side of the demigods, whereas the demons did not care about the Lord. It's not that the Lord is biased. If the demons took shelter of the Lord, they would also be given protection. And that is the example is Bali Maharaj himself. Because as Vaman Dev, the little Brahmin boy who came and took away all of the possessions of Bali Maharaj, and Bali Maharaj surrendered unto him, and the Lord gave him protection. So it doesn't matter whether you're a demigod or a demon. The Lord is not biased. He's neutral. He's just looking at the devotion. Thus they made an agreement, endeavoring together to produce nectar. So, this Mandara mountain is big. What happens? How did it get to the ocean? Lord Vishnu carries. Then both the demons and the demigods started for the ocean, taking Mandara mountain with them. Because of the great heaviness of the mountain, the demigods and the demons became fatigued. Some of them actually died. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, appeared there on the back of his carrier Garud, and by his mercy he brought these demigods and demons back to life with his glance. The Lord then lifted the mountain, just simply lifted the mountain with one of his hands, placed it on the back of Garud. So we can see not just the Lord, his strength, but Garud, his servant, so powerful. And he too got on the back of Garud and went to the ocean of milk, surrounded by demigods and the demons. So there you go. There's Lord Vishnu, also known as Ajita. He comes and he lifts up this mountain. He gives life again to the demigods and the demons who had died in the endeavor to carry this huge mountain. The omnipotent Lord makes countless planets with many mountains floating in outer space. Then why would it be difficult for him to just lift a mountain? The atheist may say it's mythology, but the devotees faithfully accept it as fact. This actually happened. We have to have that faith that this actually has happened. The Lord was carried to the spot by the churning by Garud, who placed the mountain near the sea. Then the Lord asked Garud to leave that place because as long as Garud was present, Vasuki could not come there. So there's a natural animosity between Garud, who is an eagle, and Vasuki, who's a snake. Eagles eat snakes. Favorite food. So as long as Garud was present, Vasuki would not show. So I wanted to stop there. Chapter 6 is the end of chapter 6. Any questions? Any comments? Okay, let's make a stop. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Kumbha Mela pastimes ki jai.